Welcome to the Life Begins at Midlife podcast, where we pop the champagne to celebrate the unexplored joys and endless adventures that await us in the midlife. Flipping the script on what it means to hit those fabulous 40s, 50s and beyond. Because here, we don't believe in midlife crises, only midlife revolutions. Reminding you that the only thing we're letting go of at midlife is the notion that it's all downhill from here. Nope, we're here to climb higher, dream bigger, and laugh louder. Each week, we'll dive into the myths, share the truths, and unlock the secrets to making the midlife years your best years yet. From rediscovering lost passions to embarking on new adventures, we're covering it all. Expect candid conversations with inspiring guests who've turned their midlife years into their most dynamic chapter yet. We're talking to everyone from entrepreneurs who've launched successful startups from their kitchen tables to adventurers who decided age is just a number when it comes to climbing mountains or sailing the seas. So if you've ever found yourself pondering, is this all there is? Or you're just eager to embrace the richness of midlife with both arms wide open, then you, my friend, are in the right place. Grab your favorite drink, get cozy, and let's show the world that life doesn't just begin at 20, it begins again at midlife. And remember, in the Life Begins at Midlife podcast, the only rule is to live confidently, love unconditionally, and laugh uncontrollably. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Life Begins at Midlife podcast. Today we've got Helen Tudor in our studio. I've been excited to be able to speak to Helen today because I've been following her for quite a while and seeing the transition that she's been going through over the last couple of years. So I'm excited to welcome you, Helen. Lovely to have you today. Have you here today for you to share your story with us.
Jackie, thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here talking about my story rather than what I'm normally doing, which is talking about what I do. So I'm quite looking forward to this one. It'll be nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, so welcome. And it will be. I've heard bits of your story as you've shared it over the few years that I have been following you. But it'll actually be good to hear it in one story. And so over to you. So where did your journey start?
Okay, so I'm Helen Tudor. I was Helen Pritchard. A lot of people know me as Helen Pritchard. And I guess when it was talking about midlife, I was thinking, what would I class as midlife for me? But I think I've had such a huge transition happen over the last 7 years. So for me, I'm going to talk about the last 7 years, which will take me from late 30s, mid 30s, sorry, right up until where I am now, which is nearly 45, Jackie, nearly 45. So yeah, the last 7 years, particularly for me, I think have been really life-changing for me. Like if I look back, if 7 years ago me could see today me, she'd be like, wow, that was quite a move. Like you really did change your reality from where you were then to where you are now. So that's what I wanted to talk about, really.
Perfect. So yeah, I mean, would you have thought that, in your wildest dreams that you could ever be where you are now, way back 7 years ago?
So 7 years ago. So I'm probably most famous for helping business owners get leads from LinkedIn. So I've become the go-to person for a lot of people. Not, there's lots of other people who teach LinkedIn. All of their ways are absolutely valid. I have a very specific strategy that I teach on LinkedIn. And it was 7 years ago that somebody said to me we're in a networking meeting. I was running my own business. I've been running my own business for about 7 years. I'd been running my social media agency and my employer branding agency for a number of years. And business was okay. Business was okay. When I first started that business, I was in the absolute depths of despair. I mean, I was in about 90 grand's worth of personal debt. I was about to get my house repossessed, had 2 children, under 5, I'd, single mum, and I wasn't able to buy food for my kids. So when my story, I guess, really started was when I was 30, when I found myself post-recession, 2008, 2009, in this just awful financial situation and having no real means of earning money other than starting my own business. So I started my own business. So that first 7 years was like really getting myself out of that real place of I can't afford to feed my kids, I can't afford to put petrol in my car, I've got no idea I'm going to pay my debts, and slowly but surely my business grew using LinkedIn to generate leads, but like grew, and I was able to rely less on my parents and more started to make money, like decent money, to life-changing money for me then. So make 2, 3, 4 grand a month, where I was I was replacing what would be a really decent salary. I didn't have any, qualifications. So my business was doing great in terms of like, it was giving me a lifestyle that meant I wasn't in this kind of dire straits financially, and the day, not being able to eat and sleep and really being in that high state of anxiety, which I don't know if it ever really leaves you. Like I'd kind of got myself out of that into a position of relative safety financially, but certainly not particularly into joy and happiness. I was running an agency, had about 10 staff, which has got its own, challenges, had an office, I was going to work every day. I was working with big clients. But 7 years ago, I was at a networking meeting and a guy sat next to me said to me, "How are you getting all your clients?" And I said, "Oh, I get them all on LinkedIn." And he said, "Oh, right. Like, how does that work for you? Like, what's your LinkedIn DMing strategy? Like, how are you, how do you follow people? Or, what do you write when you connect with people?" And I was like, "I don't do any of that. Like, I just do these 3 things every day and people come to me." And he said to me, "Helen, that's not how this works. Like, that's not how you use LinkedIn." And I was like, "No, that's how I use LinkedIn." And he said, "No, I've had loads of LinkedIn training and that's not how you use it." And I said to him, "No, honestly, random stranger, man, like this is how I do it. I do these 3 things every day. And people come to me. I don't send any personalized connection requests, don't send any DMs." And he said, "Well, I'll give it a go, but because LinkedIn's not really giving me any leads doing it the way I'm doing it." And then I saw him a couple of weeks later and he said, "Helen," he said, "guess what?" It's like, "What?" Like random man at the golf club. He said, "I did what you told me to do and I got an inquiry." And I was like, "Yeah, that's how it works." And he said, "You don't understand." He said, "Nobody teaches LinkedIn like this. You should teach it." And I really do need to find that man and buy him a pint, because that was the first time I'd even considered teaching LinkedIn. I was just running my agency, doing my thing. And I thought, well, yeah, I mean, I could teach this to anybody, anywhere, anytime. I taught it to him in 5 minutes, literally back of a napkin at a golf club, and I just thought, yeah, I could teach anyone this. And I started teaching it. I started off I did for free for a few people, and then everyone really loved it and it worked for them. And then I started to charge for it, £99 for a session, a one-to-one session. And like people were just lapping it up. They were just loving it. Everyone was getting great results. It was working. People were just saying, "This is incredible." And I just had this kind of realization that doing stuff yourself is great, but like teaching other people and taking them from "I don't understand something" to "Oh, this makes sense," and then seeing them get a result was just incredible. And I realized that that was really the life-changing thing for me, was that it wasn't just about myself and getting results for me. It's like, how can I help all these people? And I was working with people all over the world, all different types of businesses, different types of personalities, like local business, online business, like small business, massive organizations. And everyone I was teaching this stuff to was like, "Wow, this is amazing." And I was just thinking, this is how I do it. To me, it was obvious. It still is obvious. And I started making good money just doing that. And I remember thinking, I'm working what? 5 to 10 hours a week, making £500,000 a week in my spare time. I was like, this is incredible. Like, I don't even need to run the agency. Like, I could just ditch that and I could make that money without having to worry about staff and offices and all the rest of it. So I burnt that agency to the ground, really, because I just love this thing that I teach about value, joy, profit. Was the breakthrough for me, was that, oh, this is something that I can enjoy, that I get a lot of joy from personally, that other people seem to really love, that's making me great money, and that I'm adding loads of value. So like, why wouldn't I do this? And I really just followed that feeling of it just works. It's a win-win for everybody. Like everyone's benefiting from this. Like the person on the other end of the calls having a great result and getting great results and seeing the massive return on that investment. And I'm getting paid great money for working like with great people and, you know, working around my kids. So I thought that was the holy grail, you know, and there's this kind of like, I've changed my life again, you know, I'm not having to go to work, I can work from home. And, you know, I just got really deep into the online space, got quite well known quite quickly. I grafted really hard though. I was doing, you know, 10 to 15 guest experts a week. You know, I was doing like 2, 3, 4 a day. Some days I was, you know, teaching this for free in other people's groups. I was doing a lot of content myself. I think I went live on Facebook every day for over a year. You know, I was getting on podcasts. I was putting it in. You know what I mean? It wasn't just this. I was putting it in, getting known for this sort of methodology on LinkedIn. And then I got a tax bill and I was like, Christ, I got to make a chunk of money quick. Because when you start earning good money, you start paying good taxes, right? And I think it was about £8,000 my tax bill. I thought, oh my God, how am I going to pay that? You know, because I had absolutely zero business acumen, even though I'd ran a business for 7 years. I don't know what the hell I was doing. Still don't half the time. And I thought, right, what if I taught this to a group of people at the same time? And I said, right, I'm going to call it the LinkedIn Mastermind because I'm not really good at naming things. And I put it on sale. I think I've got 8 people to sign up. And I ran it as a group program. Even though I hadn't created it, I just literally ran it day by day I set up a Facebook group for these 8 people and I showed up every day, gave them something to do in the morning, you know, something to do in the morning. They went away and did it. And then, you know, gave them feedback. And those videos actually became the LinkedIn Mastermind, those exact videos that I just filmed every day, terrible quality, just filmed on, you know, Facebook Lives, just awful, you know, the audio, I didn't even have a mic, didn't have a proper webcam, just awful. But the group loved it, you know. Elsa was in that group and she's still like an ambassador for me now. And I thought, okay, right, now I can teach a group of people at once. This is now, you know, now we're talking. And we just grew it really. I ran it again and again and again and again. And then I started doing 5-day challenges, which is what a lot of people know me for. I'm putting on these free 5-day events, training events, where I did live with wine in the evening. I did, you know, you got a task every morning. And again, those first iteration of videos, terrible quality, I used to do lives for hours because I just had no boundaries. I just answered every single question. I'd be drinking nearly a bottle of wine. I'd be doing it in my pajamas. It was just very, really like low tech, low polish, but people just absolutely loved it. So they love these 5-day challenges. We started getting hundreds of people in and then on to thousands of people. We started doing launches, getting bigger and bigger. You know, I'd do these launches where people would all join my program at once. And, you know, I remember we did one first launch with like 50 people signed up. It was like £1,000 then. It's like my first £50,000 launch. And then I did £100,000 launch. And then we did a £200,000 launch. And it was just like, it was just being in a movie. That's all I can say. Like that 2018-19 for me was a massive blur. I was single mom. I just remember not doing much but working and being in the business, and worked with Phil Harrison, who helped me with my 5-day challenge. And we just made these 5-day challenge events, just these incredible events, you know, that people just loved them. The buzz was massive. Like I absolutely adored the lives, you know, to helping so many people for free and then a percentage converting. And I just was like, this is absolutely unbelievable. 2019 we hit £1 million in revenue from challenges and from launching my program over and over again, which was, again, just like it was happening to somebody else. We used to close the launches at midnight, and on the group chat, and it was like, if we get 18 more sales today, we'll hit 1 million since we started. And I was like, never get 18 in like last 2 hours. And we just watched them come in, and it was like 16, 15, 14, you know, and they were like, we had 2 sales, we need 1. And then it just one, like people always buy at the last minute. So we sold like 3, we needed 1 more. We sold like 4 in the last 5 minutes or something. And I remember FaceTime my mate, Danielle, and I was just like, we've made £1 million out of nothing. This is like unbelievable. Then 2020, we know what happened in 2020. Just before lockdown, I was like flying. I was flying business class to Dubai, saying, oh, I'm going to do 5 million next year. It's going to be amazing, blah, blah, blah. We all know what happened in 2020. And it was really interesting because 2020 was the year I made $1 million in revenue for the year in cash, not just in like as in forward people payment plans and stuff. It was like a cash $1 million year for me, 2020, because I didn't know what to do. Because like all of us, we didn't know what to do. So I just did loads of challenges. I was basically doing back-to-back challenges just to give me something to do, to give everyone else something to do. It was like everyone else was doing quizzes and I was just running challenges because it just gave everyone like that routine and that community. And it just kind of, and obviously I was running my own community as well. So like leading that community through COVID was really, really interesting experience. 2020 was absolutely amazing. And then what happened in 2020 was that was kind of like, I'd say from a purely business point of view, that was like the pinnacle. Like I was making more money than I'd ever seen. I'd made £1 million in a year. I was paying myself 10 grand after tax. I was like, just, we were doing 100 grand months. It was just onboarding all these amazing people into the program. The program was absolutely bouncing and thriving. And it was absolutely fantastic. I was very, very lonely. I was very, very lonely. I had it all, you know what I mean? And I had great, great friends. The girls, I've got 2 girls who are absolutely amazing. I moved out of my house. I completely redid my house, big wraparound extension, 30 grand kitchen, like all of the stuff I'd always ever wanted, brand new carpets, like they're thick, like this thick, like it's just like, I remember going to the carpet shop and going, what's the thickest carpet I can buy? Because, because I've been so broke. I remember I didn't have carpet on the stairs for years. So I was literally in the carpet shop going, I want the thickest, like I haven't got a budget, just give me the best carpet you've got, and the kitchen was all mealy, top of the range, everything, sliding door. It was just like, what I mean? I'm never moving from here. This is for me and the girls. And it's going to be the house of our dreams because we'd lived there for a long, long time, nearly lost it. And it was absolutely beautifully done extension. And then whilst I was moved out, waiting for the extension to be completed and all the beautiful equipment to be put in and the fluffy carpets, I met Stu. So I met Stu. So I'd already knew Stu, to be fair. I knew Stu, I knew of him, but I found out he'd split up with his partner and he was single and a very good friend of ours, both of ours. But my best friend said to me, Stu Tudor's single. You should get out. You should go out with him. Basically, you're perfect for each other. Like, and I was like, I'd already known him, but he's already been in a relationship. So I'd not really thought like that. And I just thought, yeah, I really like Stu Tudor. Like, I really do like him. And he'd actually come to quote me on the CCTV because he's a CCTV guy. And so I thought, I've got a reason to text him. I'm going to text him about the cameras. So I was like, in lockdown, I was like building up the courage. And I was like, I text him and it's so funny looking back now. Like I cringe thinking about it now, but it was something like, oh, hi, Stu. Just to let you know, I'm not ready for the cameras yet, but when the house is, the walls are back up, we're going to be putting the cameras in. And so, I'll contact you nearer the time. Like, anyway, how are you? Kiss, kiss, kiss. Like I always, I'm always sending kisses to tradesmen, like, and he was like, hi, Helen. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm fine. Just had to make a few changes, but, whatever. I'm feeling fine, thanks. And I was like, okay. So I was like, so what are you thinking of doing when we get out of lockdown, and he was like, oh, getting back to playing sport and seeing my mates and getting back to the pub. And I was like, okay. So I said to my mate, I was like, he's not interested. And Phil said, he definitely would be interested. Like, there's just no way. He's like, he definitely would be interested. Like, he said, I'm just not having it. And I said, oh, it's just maybe too soon. They've not, he's not been on his own very long. Anyway, the next day, Phil says, he said, I rang Stu. I was like, what? He said, I rang Stu and I said to him, did Helen message you? And he said, yeah, about the cameras. And he said, not about the cameras. That was her flirting with you because she knows that you're single now. And Stu was like, oh, I did not get that at all. And he said he sat there thinking, how do I now start the conversation back again? Like to sort of start the conversation. Anyway, he did. He made whatever, and then we chatted all through lockdown, and then we had our first date on the first day we were allowed out. The first day, it was the second day or something. The first day we were allowed out, he went out, and then the second day, very hungover, he took me out for Sunday dinner, and I was so nervous. Oh my God. So I've traveled the world. I was single for many years. I've been on loads of dates. I've done, I've been married before. I'm a middle-aged woman. I was like 40, 41 or something, but I was so nervous. He came to pick me up and I got in the car and I just went, I'm so nervous. And he just looked at me like, right. Because he followed me on Facebook. So he's seen me like, he said, later on, he said, oh, I thought you'd be this kind of, I don't know, a bit, confident, strong, independent businesswoman, smashing all these targets, traveling the world. It's just like, I'm absolutely hopeless. Like I'm hopeless with everything apart from my business, to be honest. And so that was that really. And we just had this incredible, because it was still sort of like lockdown, wasn't it? It wasn't like, it didn't go back to normal for ages. So like sport wasn't on. Now I know what I know. Like, so he wasn't playing sport all the time. He wasn't working all the time. And we just had this amazing like courtship. It was like being in a movie, but like a love story. It was absolutely fantastic. True honeymoon period. We just fell madly in love with each other. Eventually obviously met his kids and he met mine, and they get on really, really well. They still do. Even today, Megan, she's 17, Will's 14. So that's my daughter, his son. And Megan even said to me today, like, oh, Will's getting on my nerves, but it's because I'm really close to him. And, like they just all get on really well. And Stu's family are amazing. Like his mum and dad are fantastic. Like his mum and dad and my mum and dad get on as well. So it's like, when you're saying before, like if you could look forward into the future, to have a family where like literally this Sunday, it was Harriet's birthday, stepdaughter. We had my mum and dad, his sister and husband, their 4 kids, our 4 kids. Like, it, had everyone around watched the only thing is a Liverpool fan. I'm a United fan, but I didn't manifest everything perfectly. But we just all really get on. And when I think back to what it was like, living on my own, kids are great, obviously, but just not having that. Like I remember when lockdown first started, I used to go for a walk, because that's what you're allowed to do, isn't it? And I remember thinking, all of these families, all of these people and I just felt so lonely. And I thought I wanted to find somebody, but I just didn't know if I ever would, because I've been single for such a long time. Between marriages, if you like, 10 years. It wasn't like I'd had a lot of time, a lot of time to think about it. And so really 2 things happened at once for me. Well, 3 things happened in my midlife story, I guess, is that completely changed my life. One was that COVID happened, when I was like 41, 42, which was just, I still can't believe it happened. When I look back, I think we're all still a bit got that trauma around it that we're so close to it still. I can't even acknowledge that it even happened half the time. Like, I didn't have a bad experience at all. Like, I was very lucky, and like I say, I fell in love with Stu. So in a way, it was fantastic. But it was just like that whole experience of being grounded as a globally grounded. It was just so bizarre. So that was a big part of my midlife story. I turned 40 single, and I met Stu when I was 41. We got engaged a year. We got engaged on my birthday. So we went to where we had our first date on that Sunday. He took me there for my birthday. I thought, he's being so weird. And I kept saying, what are you taking me to do? Because I'm really not, I'm scared of everything and he's not. So I was like, we're not going skydiving, are we? Or like, hot air balloon, or, something I don't want to do, like wild water rafting or something. And he was just like, no, but he just seemed really on edge. And I was like, and I think I cried on the way. I was like, why are you being so weird? What are we doing? He was like, we're just going for lunch. And I was like, well, why aren't the kids coming with us? It's just weird. And he's like, no, we're going for lunch. The kids are going to go ready and we're going to go out and get back. And I was like, I couldn't compute it at all. They'd been really weird all day. Anyway, we went to he'd reserved the same table. He went to the toilet and then he came back and he tripped out. Oh, that's it. He pushed the chair next to me in. That's right. And I thought, that's a weird thing to do. And then he went round. As soon as he sat down, he got up again then he got the ring out. But he had to go and take the ring out of the box because it got stuck in his pocket the first time he tried to do it. He absolutely went to pieces. My Stu is the most capable man you'll ever meet, except when it comes to proposing or getting married. He went to pieces both times. He's so not that emotional guy, but he couldn't hold it together with the engagement at all. I could barely work out what he was trying to say because he was crying and everything. But it was so lovely, and he bought me an amazing ring, and it was the same table. And I just remember coming out of there again and just thinking it is beyond my wildest dreams. I just couldn't even imagine anybody wanting to marry me again. It just didn't seem like it was in my. I don't know. So to have him propose on my birthday, and then we went home. And again, he went a weird way, and I was thinking, that was weird. Again, I was just like, what are we going to do? We'll tell the kids, da, da, da. And I said, well, I'm not going to, and he said, we'll tell the kids together. Right, okay. So I put my hand behind my back as we went in. But then when we went in the door, he'd gathered all of my friends and family. So there was about 50 people in my beautiful big kitchen. And I went, oh my God. And then my ring, and I see my daughter go, oh, and my best friend straight away, they've all went, oh my God, because none of them knew he was going to propose. He just said it was going to be a birthday party. Again, amazing that he'd managed to get all those people together for what was my 43rd or something. It wasn't really a big birthday. So the engagement was great, and then into the wedding. So we had the most amazing wedding, 2 years to the day after our first date. We had, and that was the other thing that we did during all this. So I said there was 3 big things that happened to me in midlife, but there's actually 4. So COVID happened to me. So I met Stu. I made a lot of money. So I made millions of pounds in my 40s. I've made 3 million, generated 3 million in revenue from this business alone in the last 7 years. So I don't make millions every year anymore. There's a bit to that story. But anyway, up until 2019, I was making very, very, very good money. But then the second thing happened was COVID, which did impact the business. And then the third major thing, obviously, was meeting Stu and getting engaged and ultimately married. Well, the other thing that we did post-COVID was buy the house. So we bought an absolutely ginormous house by accident. So we knew we wanted to live together. My house was absolutely immaculate. Literally, I don't even know if I put things in all the cupboards and drawers. It was so beautiful, very, very modern. Bifold doors, or I say, new radiators, new carpet, new skirting boards. It was like the new house. It was like Trigger's broom. It was like a whole new house. Stu had his own house, and he put that on the market and sold it very quickly. In fact, it came up in my memories 3 years ago. He sold it on the first day it went on to the first people for the full asking price. We were a bit like, oh, all right. So he sold that, and then they moved in with me. But it was only a 3-bedroom house with a front room. So Stu's kids had to share, which wasn't ideal. So then we were like, we need to buy a house because we don't all fit in this house, right? And we looked at a house up the road, and it was beautiful, and we put an offer in, and it was accepted, and it was very exciting. And then it became apparent that the guy that was selling it, the whole thing was starting to fall apart. The further we were getting towards completion, the more ridiculous it was getting. If anyone's ever tried buy and sell houses, you probably understand. Anyway, I remember it was a summer's day. We were at the pub, and Stu said, I'm not buying this house. We just cannot buy this house off this guy. This is just untenable. The whole thing was, because again, post-COVID solicitors, and it was just very, very, very stressful. He said, we're going to pull out. So I was like, right, okay. So we still need to buy a house. We've got a house, right? I've got tenants waiting to move in at mine. We were about a couple of months off completion. I need to buy another house. And I said, my friend's selling a house, I think. I wonder if he's still selling it. Anyway, I texted him. I said, are you still selling your house? I said to Stu, but it's massive. Don't think it'd be. I think it's too big for us. And he answered me, Craig, and he said, I've actually took it off the market, but if you want to come and look at it, you can come and look at it. So we went round from the pub, we went straight round to the house, and I looked at it and I was like, oh God, it's massive. I'd never been. I'd walked past it and I was just like, this is massive. And Stu walked in and he was like, I love it. And I thought, oh God. And I was like, yeah, but Stu, it's Victorian. It was 1884 or something. It was built. It's got 7 bedrooms, 4 floors. The ceilings are super high. It's massive. Like, there's no getting away from it. Like, the delivery drivers are like, is this all one house? You know, because it looks like flats because it's ginormous. And it's freezing cold and everything leaks and everything makes weird noises. It's haunted to the max and we absolutely love it. But I was thinking, are we really going to buy this? It was way over budget. I can't remember how much more. It was like 200 grand or 300 grand over budget or something. It was just stupid. The whole thing was just like, can we even make that work? And then my mum and dad came to see it with me. And my mum was like, she grew up in a Victorian house. She was like, do not do it. Like, don't do it. You're going to be freezing the whole time. Blah, blah, blah. And my dad said, I was born here. I was like, what? He said, I was born here in 1949. This was the maternity hospital for this area. And I was born here in 1949. And the woman who owned it said, I know what room your dad was born in because they only had one birthing room. She took him up to see, and obviously he can't remember because he was a newborn baby. But he was like, yeah, this is where I was born. And so were like loads of my friends. And I just knew then that we'd have to have it. It was like, we're just going to have to make it work. We have to, you know, sell everything we own, including a Porsche, to get in. We got in the end. By the skin of our teeth. We hadn't even completed by the time we were moving in. They were moving out. It was absolute chaos. But we got in the house, and that meant that we were able to get married here in the summer. Got married at my church. I got christened as well in midlife, in same time as with Stu. We got married at my church, then we had a big party here for all of our friends and family in the marquee, and it was just incredible. Like, it was just the pinnacle of that sort of 5 years of not knowing what was going to happen next. And when I think about that in the last 7 years, going from running my agency to being married to Stu, to the business still doing great. Stu's got his own businesses as well. So that's like all we think and talk about is work and football. You know, and just living this life with this amazing, beautiful blended family in this amazing, beautiful house. This is still freezing, but we love it very much. And being able to live and work and be in this amazing space is just what a gift. Like, I just couldn't have predicted it in my wildest dreams. Like you say. So it's been a busy midlife for me so far. I'm ready for a few years of calm stability. But yeah, that's the last 7 years for me.
Well, I must say it's given me hope, and I think it's going to be giving the rest of the listeners some hope as well, that there is lots of positives that come out of midlife as well. There's not just this doom and gloom of crises and everybody going off pop. You know, it's been like a fairy tale, and I've seen it unfold as, you know, as it's gone on. And every time I'm like, oh, what's going to be the next episode? It's almost like, you know, and I don't mean it in a weird way. It's just been so heartwarming to see that, you know, things do work out for people out there. You know what I mean? And if you do have a clear goal, you know, like you wanted to find someone that you could be happy with, you know, it does happen. And it's just so nice just to see that.
And I think it's knowing that miracles do happen. I do believe that the universe has got a plan, and I've just had to go along with it and just keep showing up and being positive and just never know what's around the corner. We couldn't have predicted COVID. I couldn't have predicted buying this house over all the other houses. I couldn't have predicted meeting and marrying Stu. Like, there's so many, it's like 1,000,000 to 1 shot. It's like winning the lottery. And it's the same with everything. So you've just got to be open to it. I was very intentional though. I did want to meet somebody and I wanted to be married again. I did want to buy a house and I wanted to have space for the children. I did want to build a business and I wanted to make a lot of money. So the intention was always there. How it unfolded was like very much fell out of my hands, but just going with it and just thinking, you don't get shown what's around the corner for a reason. You just get shown the bit in front of you. So you've just got to keep moving in that direction. And being brave about it. I've been out of my comfort zone a lot emotionally, like opening myself up to a new relationship after everything that's happened. You know, it's difficult financially, having to open myself, ask for support from Stu, and the business wasn't going as well as I wanted it to post COVID. You know, asking for help from the universe. You know, when it comes to like the house sort of managing its paying for itself, we run events here and things like that. So I think for me, if someone was listening to this thinking that just would never happen to me, like it definitely would. Because there's nothing something special that I did. It's just having an open heart and intention and just going with it, and knowing that like buying the house is so stressful, but it's sort of, it all works out in the end, and you just don't know it while you're in it. So you just got to keep moving in the direction, and then every so often have a look around and think, this is great. I'm in a really great spot. What's next?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that could possibly be another podcast conversation, because I think we could go on to that as well. But yeah, it's been so lovely to hear your story, and all in one go, not watch it unfold over a period of time. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Jackie.
As we wrap up another episode here at Life Begins at Midlife, we want to take a moment to extend a heartfelt thank you to our sponsor, Jackie Bourne, for Purpose Unleashed. Jackie's commitment to empowering individuals on their journey of self-discovery and transformation truly aligns with the spirit of our show. Whether you're navigating the challenges of midlife, seeking clarity on your next steps, or simply looking to live a more fulfilled life, Purpose Unleashed offers the guidance, tools, and support you need to turn your aspirations into reality. For those of you feeling stuck or at a crossroads, remember, it's never too late to redefine your path and embrace the life you've always dreamed of. Visit Purpose Unleashed website to discover how you can start your transformative journey today. Let Jackie be your guide to a more vibrant, purpose-driven life. You can find this link to the website in the show notes below. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in and sharing your time with us. Remember, every day is a new opportunity to grow, to love, and to make a difference. Until next time, keep striving, keep dreaming, and keep listening.